Welcome to the If We Had the Pencil podcast. I'm your host, Sean Green, and with me, as always, is Matt Jackson. Matt, how the hell are you today?
Oh, doing great. Finals are done. School is done. Summer break. So
Glad you can say that. I start next week.
there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're going for the big one, the Masters. So
yep, but you know what? Last two classes, and I'm done.
awesome, awesome.
All
Uh,
right, so let's get some administrative notes out of the way. All right, folks. So here's the deal. We're going to be a little off sequence for the next couple of weeks. As you know, it's the holidays, right? Like it's the summer. We all travel. So I'm traveling, Matt's traveling. But the good news is we're going to hit you up right after Backlash. You're going to get our instant reactions to Backlash, our SmackDown and follow up to that for Raw will be on Thursday this week, and we'll continue to update you as we go. So, and as always, like, subscribe, smash those buttons, give us comments, let us know how we're doing, let us know if we suck. It's all good. Like, let us know what you think as we talk about storylines. Give us your feedback, how you think things should go.
all right, and also in June, be prepared. There will be a surprise podcast. So there will be a surprise podcast. More to follow on that later, but it'll be cool. It'll be different. I don't know if it'll be appropriate at all times, but we'll try.
We're already sliding down that slope. So, Matt, as always, Sean keeps his ear to the interwebs and the social medias, and Sean's got a rant. So,
Here we
if
go.
anybody that doesn't know, WWE had a handful of cuts this week, okay? And a lot of people are losing their minds because of a lot of the up and coming talent. A lot of the talent was female that got released. I mean, you do have the likes of like Braun Strowman that also got released. But a lot of people were losing their minds. Look, folks, here's the reality of the situation. I'm a huge NFL fan. Matt's an NFL fan. And guess what happens every year after the draft, after the preseason? Players get cut. For weeks since we started this podcast, Matt and I have been talking about how the women's division is just loaded. Well, guess what? There's a byproduct of that. Some people are going to get left out. There's only so many shows, there's only so much airtime. People have to get exposure. They have to get out there. So the best way I can equate this to you is as a Bills fan who long suffered prior to the Josh Allen era, we would hinge our hopes on drafted players and anybody that showed a glimmer of talent in the preseason. And then, we'd all be disappointed when they got cut. Like, how could they cut this guy? Or you had that player that you liked for years because he was a really great guy. You had his jersey, and guess what? They let him go. It's okay. One of the byproducts of that, though, I saw a lot of people talking about, oh, there's better in ring wrestling. This organization's better than that. This organization's better at in ring. Look, folks, here's the deal. And Matt, I was telling Matt this earlier. Wrestling's like ice cream, right? It's 100% like ice cream. So you have people that don't like ice cream. Guess what? They don't watch wrestling. You have people that just like the regular flavors, like your chocolate and your vanilla and your strawberry. Those folks, those are the folks that like the in-ring old school grapple and and can appreciate the old school wrestling. Then you got the people that like the sprinkles and all the other jazzy stuff. Those are the people that like the luchadors and the high flyers and every other cool thing that's out there. It's okay. The good news is we're living in a great time for wrestling, and you don't have to pit organizations against organizations. Just find your flavor, enjoy your flavor, and just enjoy it. It's going to be great. So that is the end of my rant on that. Just enjoy wrestling. It's okay. People get cut. It happens more than you realize, and it's going to be okay.
Yep, absolutely. So I propose, as the co-host of this show, even though you're the boss, that every episode starts with the greetings and goes right into Sean's rant of the week written by, narrated by, filmed by Sean Green. So I want to hit on the ice cream thing because I've always loved wrestling ever since I was a kid, and even though I personally like ice cream with a lot of stuff in it. But my wrestling taste, I was a very vanilla chocolate guy for a long time. Had a hard time adjusting to what is now what we call modern wrestling. I always loved the old school, take a hold, work it, and all that stuff. But here's the thing, folks, and Sean and I are huge NASCAR fans, and people complain about when they come out with a new car or the new way they race. And baseball, just athletes, every sport evolves. So the sport of professional wrestling is not the same sport that I fell in love with in the late 70s and saw its dominance in the 80s. And that stuff was great, and it still holds up. But what it doesn't take away from the fact that the sport has evolved. The athletes today are even better. Are they better actual, I would say, wrestlers like amateur style? Maybe or maybe not, but here they are. They're professional wrestlers. They're entertainers. They put on a show, and they do it through a move set of wrestling. So it's taken me a long time, and I finally came to terms with the fact that, hey, this is what wrestling is now. So it's like I either learn to like it, or I just don't watch it at all. And I find that the reward is to watch it because now it's entertaining. My wife has gotten into it. Wrestling was a big reason why Sean and I became close friends, other than being in the Army together, was built on that love of wrestling. So just because wrestling has changed over the last 40 or 50 years and it's not what it was, it's still wrestling. And I love what they're doing today as much as I loved what they did back in the 80s. And so maybe we'll call that Matt's rant or rebuttal or statement of the week.
So, two things out of that, right? Two things. One, it won't always be a rant. But what we are going to do is we're going to find out what the hottest topic is going around, what the most people are talking about. So, for example, like a couple of weeks ago when they were talking about the triple threat TLC match with the three tag teams, that's where everybody was talking about it. The only debate in that was should that have been on the WrestleMania card. So, like, it's not always going to be a negative. It's one of those things that I want, I had a rant the other week about Joe Hendry, right? Like, Joe Hendry's getting some love, man. He's the number one T-shirt seller right now. I think he did okay for himself. Like, he's getting his name out there, and if I say it too many times, he's going to pop up behind me anyways, because I think that's his thing. So it's just really important to know that it's not always going to be a negative.
Sorry,
So
I was just looking for Joe Henry myself because you said it. He thought he might come down here, so I was making
he's
sure
going
he
to
was
pop
welcome.
in.
Yeah,
He's got our link.
yeah. Oh,
So,
I'm staying in the site next to you. I live in an RV full time, in case you don't know that, folks.
so more good news because I got to put some positive spin on it. Chelsea Green has signed an extension with WWE, and we are all happy because
Yay!
if you know anything about me and you know anything about Matt, we're huge Chelsea Green fans here, and part of the reason why is because, and we're going to talk about one little thing she did this week that just expresses why we love Chelsea Green so
Yeah.
much.
I mean, my wife loves Chelsea Green. I don't know what does Katie think about Chelsea because she likes all the different wrestlers. She's got to have an opinion.
She has a hard time getting past the Karen character, so I'll let it. Like it's just not that, but I
I
appreciate her
I,
for being her.
right. I can't stand Karens either, but that's what makes me like Chelsea for some weird reason.
I know
Because
it makes no sense.
it gives you the opportunity to actually laugh at a Karen. Like they're making fun of the Karen concept. So that makes it funny because by being a Karen, she's making fun of Karens. So we all get to laugh at her making fun of Karens.
Yeah, and then one other thing that before we get into the SmackDown and Raw cards this week, there's a very small window coming up. So Backlash is this week. Right after that is Saturday night's main event, and after that is Money in the Bank. We're getting hit with stuff. Boom, boom, boom. It's coming quick. So just again, subscribe so you get to hear us and you know when we drop a new pod. We're going to be a little helter skelter with the schedule, so the most important thing to do is subscribe to us so that you can get it when we drop it. So that being said, Matt, let's get on to SmackDown this week.
Okay.
So we started off LA Knight, Damian Priest. And let me tell you, for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about how the crowds were all heel crowds. They were not a heel crowd this week. it was a face crowd all the way, and boy, did they love them some L.A. Knight. Man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Damien got some booze during that exchange, so he was starting to draw a little bit of heat himself. So it was. Where were they in? They were in Omaha Monday. Where were they? Oh, they were in Iowa last Friday. They were in Des Moines. So yeah, good Midwestern crowds usually like faces.
Yeah, honestly, there's nothing really. It kind of went the way we all thought it was going to go. Solo interferes, yada yada. We're not going to, focus too much on it. I don't think this story is being told to the point that it needs to be told. The biggest thing coming out of this really is the eventual friction breakup of Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. That's the only thing that really comes out of this. Knight's going to feud with whoever he feuds with. Priest is also solid. He has come a long way, I want to say. Because,
Yes.
like, when he first started getting his bump, I was like, I don't know. And then he won the world title, and honestly, he's kind of been great ever since. He's been putting on some bangers, and I'll give him his props.
No, he solid dude. That SmackDown roster is pretty thick right now too.
A lot of the roster, there's not a lot of garbage out there,
No, no.
except, let me tell you, the rich are getting richer because we got to see Fraxium, sorry, butchered
Yep.
it. Getting used to it, Fraxium and Pretty Deadly. And boy, for a show that needed no more great tag teams, they got another one that's up and coming. And actually, Pretty Deadly's awesome too, by the way. But like they, they had some miscues in their match, but man, you can see the talent, and they are going to be a hoot to watch, Matt.
No, I really enjoyed the match. I liked how both teams worked together. It was solid match. Uh, it maybe had to change the ending because Prince got hurt at the end there. He got his mouth busted, but I think they're on their way of going home anyway. But I was really impressed with both teams. But yeah, Fraction was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. It's kind of cool to see instead of two luchadors to see a European and a luchador, so you get to see the contrast of styles, but yet how they work together. So it's an intrigue. It's a fun team.
Boy,
Tag team wrestle when done right is so good.
yeah, well, the announcers kept on saying fast, and boy, were they not kidding, man.
Yeah.
They're like I said, they're going to be fun to watch.
Yes.
Like I enjoyed that a lot. Okay, so after that we got Jade, Nia, Tiffany, Naomi. They're all just coming out. There was a lot of truth telling in all of it. Like there wasn't anything out of control. Even Nia like came out with some legitimate gripes because obviously Tiffy turned on her and she got called out for it. Um, I think Stratton's coming into her own a little bit, not as quickly as a Lyra Valkyria. To your point earlier when we were talking offline, um, I love me some Naomi as a heel, man. She is just smoking the crap out of it, and she is doing amazing as a heel. And I'll tell you who else is getting better as we progress, because she was really rough around the edges. Is Jade. Jade is actually getting better. Her in ring is getting way better.
So yeah, two things on that. Like Naomi, uh, her look is transformed. Like she almost looks like a totally different person. Almost if you put them side by side, you wouldn't know they were the same person. Her whole persona, her look, fantastic. The caution tape thing, just whoever pushed her or she came up with that idea, that's really good because it was a really good way to transform such a lovable baby face into a dashingly hated heel. So good on that. And then the second thing was with Jade. Yeah, I think there's been rumors that Jade was a locker room problem. Hopefully, maybe they got that smoothed out. And I think when wrestlers in the ring get along, they're much more selfless and they'll do more to make their opponents look good. If there's some resentment coming from the locker room out to the ring, you see in the past, there's less likely of a chance that some of these wrestlers will really want to work with each other. So I think the talent with Jade is there. I'm hoping that she made a change in herself that would make her more likable to the other wrestlers because, again, she's another like superstar in the making.
Yeah, I concur. So, all right. So after that, we got Miz, the Star Maker, we'll just call him, and Aleister Black. Miz, I'll tell you what, the last couple of weeks, the last couple of times Miz has wrestled, this is the best I've seen him look in a while, and I appreciate it. You can tell when he's engaged in a program. I don't want to say that he's not always engaged, but you can definitely tell when he's just into it, and his wrestling goes up like a bump, and it's pretty impressive. Black was impressive. You know, I haven't seen him in a while. I was a huge Aleister Black fan before he left WWE, so like I was enjoying his wrestling. Character wise, probably needs a little work or refinement, but in the match itself, there was great storytelling. Great storytelling
Yes.
going on in that match. Like when Miz started, giving him the kicks and he's laughing it off, I was like, whoo. I was like, this is some good stuff, man. There's going to be a little. I think there's some meat on the bone still there. They'll kind of ping pong Black between Miz and Carmelo Hayes, but yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. I think Miz is really engaged because I think for what it looks like, he seems like he really enjoys working with Carmelo Hayes, and I think that's elevating his game up. But yeah, that was a really good match. And one thing I really liked too was that Michael and Pat were referencing the fact that Aleister Black has a really extensive Muay Thai background. And really, especially now because of the merger with UFC under the TKO umbrella, you know, there's been talk that down the line that there's going to be some cross promotional UFC, WWE stuff. So I think it's kind of cool that they reference that. Plus, it adds another element to his character. So if you're new to Aleister Black, you might like say, "Oh, that's a cool look. I like his tats. He's got a great look." And all of a sudden, they start talking about his Muay Thai. That's something to add on top of it. So you're building the character as well. So Pat and Mike again, guys are gold. Like, no, I'm sorry. That would be. I'm sorry, not Pat and Mike. It would be Tessitore and Wade Barrett. I'm sorry. That was SmackDown. My bad, folks. But they're coming along as a team as well. They're starting to get their rhythm going. But I really I like the fact that they used his Muay Thai background. But yeah, it was a great match. The Black Mass at the end was awesome.
Yes, it was. So after that, we got Selena Vega and Piper Niven, which was a little bit of Nick Aldis kind of throwing his weight around a little bit and kind of smacking around Chelsea Green a little bit.
Well,
Throughout
Chelsea
that
had a
match.
great promo earlier in the show. She had a cute little backstage segment there with
Yeah.
some
So
whining. It was great.
there's not a lot to write home about this match, except that I will say that Vega being smaller and Niven being bigger, they did a really, really good job of making the match believable by leveraging Vega's speed to counter Niven's power, but Niven got her power stuff in. It was really well done. They worked really, you could tell they worked really hard in that match um, to get it. I think that long term, I think Vega's going to have the belt for a hot minute. Unfortunately for us Chelsea Green fans, just because I think she's going to go into that Worlds Collide with that belt and get some love, in that sense. But let me tell you, just like we were talking about, we're so happy Chelsea Green got her coming out in all black, mourning that she lost her U.S. title, like the Jackie O look. I was like, oh my God, this is what we're talking about when we talk about why Chelsea Green is awesome. She got she was not in the match. She was not the focal point of the match. She had very little camera time and she maximized the snot out of it. And this is why Chelsea Green is so good at what she does because you can give her 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. She's going to get some mileage. And boy, did she, just with her look.
And she also didn't take anything away from Piper's moment as wrestling in that match. So, which is a fine balance because you can draw so much attention on yourself that people forget about what's going on in the ring. So, really, that's another like really good talent. So the fact that she was able to do all that but not take away any the shine on Piper in that match, again was she's awesome. She's entertaining as all get out. Like, and she's a great wrestler as well. So she's total package really.
I agree. I To be clear, I don't think she's Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch level, but like, you know, going around kind of at that mid tier level is pretty solid for her and probably the right fit for her. And like, do I think she could elevate into those upper echelons? Probably, but like, it would take away from her character. Just let her be her, man. It's kind of, I just love her doing her thing. And like I said, I think Niven and Vega like did great. You know, it's not easy when you have two people that are like so differently sized, you know, a Rey Mysterio and a Big Show kind of deal, right? Like, how does that work? You know, it's not natural. So they did a good job, and I got to give them their props. So after that,
Well, real quick about Chelsea, that upper level we're talking about. I mean, I think she's a couple years away from it. I think the only thing that would make that happen faster, and we see it all the time with different wrestlers. We saw it with Kofi Kingston and others, was the groundswell movement that gets behind, certain wrestlers that comes organically that elevates them. That could be another factor too, because I think she's that type of character that could get that groundswell behind her. That would just out of nowhere, and WWE's got Triple H is in the back. He's gonna be like, well, shit, we gotta. What are we gonna do? The fans want it. We gotta push her now. So, but I think
she
she'll be
is
able to.
over.
I think she could handle it. I just think that another couple years to really get refined and comfortable in her role, and you'll see that character develop and more. And I think that's when she'll get that upper level push. And it'll be very rewarding for the fans as well as for her.
So after that, Randy Orton comes out. Obviously, Randy Orton's got his big match with John Cena. I do like that WWE is like playing all these video packages showing their history. I
Yeah,
do like that
that's
a lot.
awesome.
And it's really well done. I'm a huge fan of Rivals, so it has that Rivals feel to it when they do those video packages. Hell, they might have just copied it from Rivals. I don't know. But um, the only big note I took out there, obviously, Randy was just dropping truth bombs all over the place. The big one I took out of it's the first time in a long time I've heard him reference the Legend Killer, and I thought that was kind of apropos. And I was like, do I think he goes over? And we'll get to that, but yeah, it was nice to hear him reference the Legend Killer, and I'd like to see him kind of encapsulate that persona. But again, like this goes back to the John Cena ruining wrestling thing. I need him to turn Orton into a heel. Turn him into a heel. Make him go back to being the a-hole that he is, because right now he is loving being a face. Everybody loves him. They love singing his song, and for him to go, that would honestly probably be a bigger kick in the junk to the fan base right now over like even Cody Rhodes turning heel. Kids might not like Cody Rhodes turning heel. Randy Orton would take the adults and they would be like, "Oh, damn it!" Like, I was really grooving on this. So
Oh, and what you could go really, really good with it. Like John Cena, he changed that entrance. Now we're not hearing the music and the bright colors. It's just John Cena in black. You know, say that you turn Randy heel. He doesn't even come out to music. He just walks out to a screen that says Randy Orton, so you don't hear his music playing. And as you see other wrestlers turn heel, it's all back to that stripping away all the stuff, all the sing along stuff, all that. Cody Rhodes might just come out. He might get him to even do a knockoff of his dad, or just where he's not flashy anymore. He's just a plain old wrestler.
I don't think he'd do that because even Cena kept his song, right? Like some of that stuff transcends, right? Like
But will
Kingdom
he?
is always going to be Cody Rhodes' song. You know, the Randy Orton song is always iconic. Like it would be like taking away Stone Cold's music, right? The glass shattering and his music. It's just him. That's part of the character. Like I
Well,
don't
what
need
would you think
there's
if
no
Cena came out and they didn't play his song? Like, what if they just did it one day? Like Cena's like, "Oh, I'm taking that away too."
if they were going to do it, they would have done it at WrestleMania. And I think just taking away the graphics was fine enough because Cena is a weird case where he's trying to still generate that heat, and at least they can sing Cena sucks, you know. So it's I don't know. Like I just think that like you're doing yourself a disservice for certain talents. Like Triple H kind of bumped that trend a little bit, like with his Evolution because obviously he was DX and everything else. But the reality is like when you hear it's all about the game, you're like Triple H.
Triple H,
And
yeah.
like it's an automatic association, right? Like there's just certain intros. Shawn Michaels, when you hear his music, Undertaker. I know Undertaker went
Hogan.
through variations
I
too.
mean, Hogan's
Hogan.
real. You hear the first three chords of that, and you're like, that. Yeah, that's the Hulkster.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's so like there's just certain ones you can't change. Certain ones we saw change, like Naomi's a prime example, right? She went from the glow to, her dark character now, so they changed her theme. That made sense. Some people you're just like Randy Orton's, which was the original point. Randy Orton is Randy Orton, right? Like he when he was a heel, when he was a face, he still had the same intro. Heel or face, he's still going to the corner of the ring and striking his pose. So it that's just who he is and who the character is. So I just
Just
want
trying to think of ways to get these now uber baby faces to turn heel. But
you just haven't do is I was thinking about it this week,
like, I
right?
mean, because the fans, they don't care. Like, they're still going to sing Seth Rollins' song. Like they sang it last night. So that's what you got to do. If you want to really ruin the wrestling, you have to take all that away. Like, hey, you're not singing their song. You're not doing this. Not so. That's what I'm like thinking. Like, where do they go with this? Like, of the songs of this, I would pull the songs away. Either have them come out with no music or like real generic like WWE style music. Just so like the fans can't get into it.
Listen,
You're taking everything.
Def Rebel can't make an intro to save their ass anyway. So like, we don't need them cutting any extra stuff. Half the crap they cut is garbage. So like, I want to go back to where they had individual groups like making their intros. It was a hell of a lot better, you know.
Oh,
Anybody
like
that's got their own song for the most part, their intros are fire. Everybody else is just like, oh, yeah, that's a thing. Like even the Street Profits are finding a way to get their new intro over. So it's like,
yeah. Well, I mean, shoot, I play. I forget the name of the song, but Edge's intro. I'll still play that in the truck every now and again because it's a great freaking song.
yep,
We'll have to
big,
we'll do a music podcast somewhere down the line.
yeah,
Let's get back to wrestling.
let's wrestle. And speaking of wrestling, all right, Matt, Ray Phoenix and Santos Escobar, I'm not even going to talk about this. I wrote note, one note for this match. One. And this is what my note said verbatim. Awesome. That's it. I had a blast watching this match. That was all I put. I didn't go into the deep dive. Nope. Don't care. It was awesome. I loved watching it all the way through.
No, I love the match. The top rope Meteora was incredible. So, uh, yeah, I love watching Ray Phoenix, and I mean he's different than his brother, of course, because he's smaller and different size. But man, everything he does look good, and like I mean Escobar, he looked great too. I mean they both like worked really well together. It was just an awesome match, and yeah, that could
All
have kept
those
going on.
all those guys that came up for through the like luchador circuit, mask or not, like all those guys that came up, man, they work so well together. All of them do. So, all right, I
I'm
don't want to
loving
hammer on
Lucha
that.
Libre. Yeah, but I'm loving the Lucha Libre. It's exciting to watch these guys come up. They did it 30 years ago in WCW and ECW, and now they're bringing it back, and I think it's going to be better than ever. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, now it's appreciated.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna crap on WCW for a minute. They didn't know how to use them, and they just kept on trotting out all the big heavyweights, and it was just like, we got it, man. It's Hulk Hogan. We get it. But like you had like Rey Mysterio like doing incredible stuff, and you're just like, can we watch more of that? Like the it's one of the worst, best and worst things about WCW during the Monday Night Wars, which that was my era, right? Like it was watch WCW for an hour, switch over to Raw while WCW's taping, and then once it's all over, I'm going to flip back to WCW to see the ending of the show, and then I'm going to watch the whole taped version to get everything I missed. But that's my era that I grew up in, and one of the most frustrating things was they had so much mid card talent that was so good.
They did.
And like they never got him featured higher up, and it was just such a waste. Like I like Kevin Nash, I like Scott Hall, I like Hulk Hogan, I like the NWO. I liked it until everybody became NWO, but that's its own thing.
I never
But
did.
like, actually, come to think of it, I didn't either.
Okay.
I was a Goldberg fan, so
Oh,
whatever.
I'm
Um,
I'm sorry.
I was there for one of his like 1,000 straight wins or something like that. But anyways, the point is that like WCW really wasted that mid card talent, and now here we are many years later after all of that, and woo, man, those luchadors are getting their love and they're getting to do what they do, and it is so impressive and so much fun to watch. And like I said, that Phoenix and Escobar, I couldn't take my eyes off of it to write any other notes. That's why there's only one line. It was just like, it was awesome. I
Yeah.
loved watching it. It was so entertaining.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It was fantastic. But all right. What's next on the agenda here?
Well, we close out SmackDown. And we close out SmackDown with Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton pairing up with, or going up against Nia Jax and Naomi. All right, look, I'm just going to run through my notes quick because it'll give you kind of where I'm at. It was a thing. It happened. It was a match. Um, Jade is obviously in the title picture. This talks about, what we were talking about earlier, where she's starting to come up more. I do think, going back to the original premise of this podcast, which is talking about storylines, we've talked often about the love triangle between Naomi, Bianca Belair, and Jade Cargill. And I think where this comes into play, I think if Jade starts getting that push, I think that's when you start seeing Naomi sliding into Belair's head a little bit and start going like, "See, I told you," playing the "I told you so" game, and it turns out that that'll be the catalyst which flips Bianca heel, and then Jade can stay a face because she's pretty over right now, and it'll be awesome.
I'll agree with all of that pretty much. I mean, you know where they're going with Jade. Do I think that Jade is ready, wrestling skilled to be a world champion? No, but I think she can have an opportunity to take a shot at it. But I wouldn't throw the title on Jade yet. I'd give her a little more time to get a little more seasoning. She needs to work a few more. She needs to have a couple of more matches or rivalries to get her ready for that world title.
I think the best way I can describe Jade right now is they finally got the rough edges off. Now we got to polish it, right? Like we're past that stage where we're just sanding everything down. Now we got to polish it up. So I think Jade has gotten way better.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's time to start shining that up, and then you can legitimately have her in a title picture.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you could throw in there just test the waters and see how she is, because you could go in there saying you're not going to win the title, but it's it's going to be almost, but you didn't quite make it, but which won't hurt her. So, but you'll get to see how she can perform under that type of pressure, on that level. Which, you know, pro wrestlers, yeah, the higher up you work, the more pressure it is because everybody wants that spot. So you never
Hey,
know.
Money in the Bank's coming, man. She can get
Yeah,
the case. Work for Tiffy. So, well,
that's a
that closed out SmackDown.
that's a good
And
idea, actually.
so now we move on to Raw. All right, I'm gonna limber up here because whoo, did Raw start out hot as hot as hot
Yeah,
as you can
buddy.
get. So first off, Jey Uso comes out, and I have in my notes because he has the best entrance in wrestling right now. There is no better entrance that engages fans like his entrance does. And it's not even like it's exciting and it's fun. Like I enjoy watching. I turn my TV up to hear the crowd and like the crowd singing his stuff. But man, when they get that drone going and you see the whole arena with their arms going up and down, it's like, whoa, that's so good.
Chrissy and I were eating. We were eating along in our recliners, so
Same.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And
It's okay to eat, folks.
so Here's some good news. You're going to get more Sean notes because this is Sean's note taking during this whole segment.
You're going to love this, folks.
Paul Heyman, so freaking good. Paul Heyman dropping truth bombs. They got me. They did get me. So when he called out Paul and Paul Heyman came out, when he called out Logan Paul and Paul Heyman came out, I was like, is Logan Paul going to end up being a Paul Heyman guy? Which is not that far-fetched. I don't want to see it because I think Logan Paul can stand on his own. But, man, I had that brief flittering thought. So they got me on that one. Seth and Paul Heyman is such a great pairing. And, Matt, you and I are going to talk about this in a second. Here is my final note to all of you out there. I will not tolerate any Paul Heyman slander. I will call out each and every moron that says Roman made Paul Heyman. And if you say that, you're an idiot. If you have that take. I cannot stress to you enough, there will be no Paul Heyman slander on the show because after that promo he dropped Monday night, whoa, just embrace the greatness.
Oh, it was fantastic. We were talking offline, and I like the fact that he really brought up like this history with Jay and the bloodline. And I love he brought up something Sean and I complained about for years. 4 years was Roman being a part-timer and Roman never being on the show. And something big happened. Roman's going to go away. And then Paul talked about that in that promo. And I was like so stoked because like he finally was saying what we were saying. And then when Sean and I were talking before the show, I said, does that mean that maybe there's some long-term resentment, even though like things looked rosy on the outside? Was Paul starting to resent Roman Reigns? Because when Roman would go away, but who would we see on TV? Paul Heyman.
Yep,
Almost every week.
This,
Yeah.
We talked about this when we kind of broke down the bloodline and Roman
But
still
is
being
there resentment for that? Because like Paul is a great manager. So I'm gonna say something real quick about that and then move on. But with Paul, it's just it makes it like at some point like, man, I want a guy that's here all the time. Because like when Paul Heyman brought Brock Lesnar, the first Brock Lesnar run, Brock was on TV every week, every pay-per-view. So Paul Heyman was on every week, every pay-per-view. And then, he had other guys like when Punk was there. And then, of course, we all know about Lesnar's second run. It was more of a part-timer. And so then, like, he went from part-timer Brock to part-timer Roman. So I think it's something we can look at. Like, did Paul really resent Roman or over time develop a resentment? And I was telling Sean this before the show. I always thought Bobby Heenan was the greatest manager of all time, bar none. Paul Heyman has surpassed Bobby Heenan. So Bobby Heenan is now number 2, and my number 3 is Jim Cornette. But what's so great about Paul is guys like Bobby Heenan, when they would have a stable, they would have a couple of guys that could talk. And then they'd have a whole bunch of guys that were not great talkers. So Bobby had to kind of talk with them or for them, depending on how they were. Like Paul Heyman, everybody he's with is a talker. I mean, Roman wasn't a great talker, but he was all right. Brock was once you let Brock talk, Brock could be very entertaining. So Brock was good, but CM Punk's a great talker, and now he's with Seth Rollins, who is a fantastic talker. So I think that's hard for a manager because he still has to find where he's got to fit in. If you're doing most of the talking for your guy, it's a lot easier. But now, like Paul still has to find a niche where he can still put his stuff in there, but yet not overshadow Seth, who's the great talker. And that's what I also love about this faction too, is Braun doesn't talk much. Braun is there to learn. So, but yeah, that's my 2 minutes of Paul Heyman love for the week.
Talking about segments, we need to keep going.
Yeah,
So,
2 minutes of love of Paul Heyman.
This concludes your Paul Heyman love fest. No, so check it out, right? So one of the things you were talking about is like this dynamic with Paul Heyman and Seth, and what really stood out to me is a lot of the time, so as I mentioned before, we talked about this, right? Like when with Roman being as part time as he was, everybody else kind of carried the bloodline storyline, especially Paul Heyman. And then even after, and Paul touched on this, even after Roman lost to Cody Rhodes and disappeared and left him with Solo and his band of friends there, and he got and eventually got put through a table. Um, Paul had it made so much perfect sense that he had
Yeah.
resentment for
Yep.
that. But what's more impressive is that normally Paul Heyman is the lackey, right? Paul Heyman is just the guy off to the side, yes, my tribal chief, I'll run out and do stuff for you or whatever. He was always kind of the lackey or the sidekick or however you want to put it. What I've noticed in the dynamic of working with Seth already, and it came after they engaged with Jey Uso, which, if you have not just sat down and appreciated all the truth bomb that Paul Heyman dropped in that ring, like him just exploding. I thought his head was going to explode. Jay dropping the, yo, dog, you okay? Like, that was priceless because I was thinking it. I think everybody was thinking of it. But him coming back into the locker room, going to Seth and goes, they bought it. He fell for it.
Yeah.
It was so brilliant because Seth is still the ringleader. You never got that dynamic with Roman because it was always like there would be kind of that quiet like, oh, go make me a match or go make this happen, wise man.
Yeah.
And like now it's kind of like you just took somebody that is a master manipulator, which Seth Rollins is. If you do not think Seth Rollins is a manipulator, you haven't been paying attention. That dude finds the perfect strings to pull on every opponent. And then pause. Let me tell you something. Every effing match Seth Rollins has, he makes the other guy look so much better.
Yeah.
We'll touch on that later, but
Yeah.
man, I had to give him his props. But
Absolutely.
going back to Seth, I'm going to say it, architecting this stuff and like basically going to Paul, like, what, hey, Paul, check it out, man. Just go get him. He's going to bite. It'll be perfect. We'll get the belt. Everything will be good. The way that all played out, Heyman didn't feel like a lackey, right?
No, because it's trust. Because Seth has to
Yes.
trust Paul for Paul make sure Paul doesn't screw it up. So he's like, I'm trusting you, Paul, that you can take care of this. So yeah, it elevates Paul. Definitely elevates Paul.
And Paul being that Morgan Freeman narrator type for you to kind of spell it out for you is so perfect. The dynamic is amazing. So like, Braun Breaker in the back being like, I don't know, man, he's just gonna do the title thing, and then when Paul broke it down, it's just like, oh, it's so good, so freaking good. Like that faction is gonna be phenomenal by the end. All right, we tell stories here. Here's the long term story Braun Breaker is going to turn on Seth Rollins. Not anytime soon, but it's going to happen. If you're not sure, get sure because it's going to happen.
Oh yeah, he Braun's
Oh,
getting ready to
I'm
be
not even
the
going to write
guy.
it in pencil. I'll write it in Sharpie.
Yeah, no, Braun's
But
the next guy. He's going to be the guy. You know, right? For what 3 years it was Gunther, and Gunther's still like a top guy, but this Gunther was the guy. Now it's going to be Braun Breaker. I'm not talking. We're not talking about the cinema title either. We're talking about the real world title, as Ric Flair used to say.
no, no. And that's what makes it exciting to your point, which is we're going to get a lot more Heyman. It's going to elevate that title, and if they're not careful, it'll surpass the meaning of the cinema title.
I'm down with that.
So there was no titles. There was no titles on the line, but Penta and JD McDonough had a match. First off, props to freaking JD since his comeback. That dude looks phenomenal.
Agreed.
And then you also Penta's Penta, man. I'm always gonna stand for Penta. I love me some Penta. I love me some Ray Phoenix. Give me, I'll watch them wrestle. But man, him and JD working together was phenomenal. I think that you're eventually gonna get the Lucha Bros kind of coming together against those guys, longer term. Penta obviously has an IC title coming up, or IC title match with Dom coming up, so they're gonna that Penta Judgment Day friction is going to consistently be there. But and a shout out to Carlito because man, Carlito is making a career out of being cannon fodder. Holy crud, man! That dude just every week it's a given. It's like water's wet, the sky's blue. Carlito's gonna freaking take a shot from somebody. So at least he didn't get folded in half this time.
No, God, but no, he takes like some brutal bumps. He's like, but I guess he likes it. Comes back for more. He does a great job of selling it. But yeah, that fun match though. Really enjoyed that. But anyway, it was a good match. Really enjoyed it. Good story was told. So Sean, what's next on the agenda?
Did you hear the thud? That was Grayson Waller throwing freaking Austin Theory under a bus named Sheamus. Bro.
Yeah,
First off, Sheamus looks good coming back. Like, we haven't seen him in a while. Sheamus looks in pretty good shape. He doesn't look poofy,
he
he
does.
looks a little more trim.
Yeah,
And I'll tell you what, man. I actually have it in my nose, man. It might be time to give Theory like a little bit of a nudge. I don't necessarily want to give him a full bump, but like let's give Theory a nudge. So,
yeah. That's what I had in my notes too. Time for Theory to get a nudge because he's a good worker. They just got to find a way for the crowd not to hate on him so much. But I think he put on a good match against Sheamus, and the fact that while he's getting beat up, he's asking Waller, "Why'd you do this to me?" was hilarious. Laid on the ring apron, getting his ass whooped. Why'd you do this to
I
me?
I can appreciate that, and like they've been teasing this breakup for a long time. Look, Waller's a good heel. I don't know if you could make Theory a full fledged face. I think we're far enough away from him being Vince's like chosen one. You know, I'd be happy to like really like see him get a bump or a nudge, and like let's see what he can do. I think there's some good stuff in the kid. I just need to see it kind of. Let's get him out there and throw him to the wolves again. Let's see if he can swim a little bit more.
Yeah,
But
yeah. He's been pretty irrelevant for a while, so maybe it's time. People probably, if you do something different and good with him, people will buy into it. I hope.
yeah. So we get a quick little segment. AJ Styles goes back to the Judgment Day's room. Apparently, R-Truth can't keep a secret and told him where the clubhouse was, and because R-Truth is a golden treasure. By the way, just as much as we won't tolerate any Paul Heyman slander, there will be no R-Truth slander in this podcast either, because
No.
R-Truth is a treasure among treasures. I love that dude. Some of this stuff, Matt and
Yes,
I will just
we
pass
do.
R-Truth clips back and forth during the week just to make each other laugh. That guy's gold. Anyways, the only thing I really took out of this, yes, AJ's challenging, coming for titles and stuff like that. The big thing I took out of here, which was just a little bit of a nugget, was AJ referred to Finn Balor as Prince. And let me tell you, we all, just as much as we see Waller and Theory breaking up, we all know Finn's probably on the outs with the Judgment Day. Because right now, that's honestly lives in Dom's show.
Yep. And whenever Liv comes back, so no, it'll be a good dynamic in it. He was mumbling at the end, and I couldn't quite catch it. I don't know if he said he's going to go after the winner of Penta and Dom, but then he still said that he's going to come and beat Dom up anyway, just because, or something like that. Was he saying something to that effect? Because
I may have missed it too.
AJ tends to mumble sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, he's still awesome in the
but
ring, so we'll let him do
AJ's
that.
a really fast talker.
So
Yeah,
after that,
absolutely. So no, I
after
want to
that,
see AJ in something.
after that, we got a promo filled. Uh, apparently, we had a promo-filled segment, so we get Becky Lynch, bitter Becky, awesome, best heel ever, Becky Lynch. Best heel version of Becky Lynch, which is bitter Becky, and bitter Becky is awesome. So, her and Lyra going back and forth on the mic, and I was impressed with Lyra. She can hold her own, let me tell you.
Yeah, and I love Becky Lynch talking about Bailey being garbage, and then calls Lyra recycling, which is garbage, just not as nasty. I'm just like, that's gold. Like, yeah, if you get like, we have the term the backhanded compliment. That was like the backhanded insult. Like, yeah, you're trash, but in not such a bad way, but you're still trash. But I just thought that was funny. Becky was, I like this squawking, screaming Becky Lynch, and I want Becky to join that Paul Heyman, Seth, Braun faction somewhere down the line. And I think it happens. She's got to take the IC title first. I think she'll bring. I think once she gets the gold, that's a way to bring gold in, especially if what we're talking about with Seth is regaining that title, and now you can bring the gold in into that faction, and that's how you bring Becky in. But yeah, great segment. Lyra was incredible Monday night.
I want to touch on that real quick. What you said about Becky, I think the only catch 22 with that is you cannot bring Becky into the faction until Seth has the belt. Seth has to establish himself first. Otherwise, we get what we had when she
Because of
was
dominant.
champion and he wasn't. The old, your wife has got a belt, you don't. Like, we don't want that shit, you know?
Yeah,
So, like, no,
no,
Seth
you're
has to get
right.
the belt. Once Seth
That's a
has
good
the
point.
belt, then Intercontinental Champion Becky Lynch can come into the faction. And then they got to get themselves a tag team. And, I don't know which one that'll be, but get the Street Profits. Like, let's just go all out. Like, we're gonna collect them like Pokemon. I want
Sure.
Paul Heyman to collect them like Pokemon, man. Like, all the best of the best. Let's go. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Just raid the
that's the
closet.
important part. If you do feel the need to bring Becky into that faction, you cannot bring Becky in with a title until Seth has a title.
Just Sean.
Seth
That's
has
what.
to
Yeah,
have
you're right,
another
Sean.
title. So, speaking of titles, your women's champ, Io Sky, had a match with Roxanne Perez. Let me tell you, this is another one of those matches where I was just like, I'm just here for the show, man. This is great. That match told such a great story. And you know what, man? The ending, I appreciate. It wasn't finisher on finisher. It
Yes,
was just roll up, roll up, roll up, roll up. We're going to keep on rolling each other up until somebody gets pinned. And
someone
it
gets it.
was so simple, it was good. And Perez is a star. You know, I don't, other than being there with Perez, everybody's speaking high of Julia. And again, folks, we only focus on main roster, Raw, SmackDown, and the PLEs. Okay, NXT's kind of secondary. We watch it when we can, but we don't know the NXT call-ups that well, which is good for you because we're giving you our honest takes on these call-ups as how we see them. Right? We don't have a past history with them, so when yes, I saw Carmelo Hayes before that, but that was right before he got called up. Man, I was like, this kid's going to be good. And it was kind of the same with it's now the same like when Roxanne came up, when Lyra came up. Like when I saw them come up and I see what they're doing in the ring, I'm like, oh, they got it. And now, this comes back to being a complete wrestler though. You can be great in the ring, but you also got to cut promos. So like you got to have it all and you got to have good ring psychology. Perez has got great ring psychology. Great ring psychology.
Yes.
So I'm very hopeful for all these call ups, and I think there's a lot of potential there. But I think I keep saying it, man. That women's division is deep, and those call ups are going to be huge this year.
Yes. Also, Io is just she's transforming herself as well. She's just every match she's in, like you said, fantastic. Uh, so that there is a rumor, and I was deciding whether or not to bring it up. But there's a rumor talking around. I guess Rhea Ripley's husband, Buddy Murphy, said some either in a podcast or on a social media post that he and Rhea are wanting to start a family. And I don't know if Rhea has said anything to confirm this, but I mean, it's not going to happen tomorrow. But over the next few months, don't be surprised if Rhea Ripley may go away. Now, I'm sure the initial plan was for EO to have a run and probably Rhea to get her title back. There's just a natural progression. If Rhea's plan is to eventually go away in a few months, I think you have to change that. So I would let EO just run probably till the end of the year with the title.
It's
And
not
just,
gonna hurt her
because
after
why
that.
not? It's not going to hurt her. It's not going to hurt the other ladies on the roster because she's such a high quality wrestler and talent. And the thing is, her character's evolving. She's able to communicate better with the fans. So it's, again, she's going to get bigger and bigger. So let her have a nice little run. Like, don't give her this, like, token 3 month run. Like, let's stretch it out. It gives some more, like, the longevity adds some authenticity, I think, to the run. It makes it look more legitimate. But that's basically all I'll say about the Rhea thing because I don't want to go up on die on the mountain of speculation. But I'm just saying it's something that's been put out and I've seen and on different sites have commented on it. So it must be a thing. So again, as us talking about the story, I think it's important we talk about these things because now it changes in the way that we look at how we would write the story. And really, until this kind of came out, I was like, well, Rio get the title back at SummerSlam. Well, now like with this going on, I'm like, I'll just roll with EO because it's not going to hurt anybody, and it sure as heck isn't going to hurt the company.
EO's making it hard to take the title off of her anyways because like since
Exactly.
WrestleMania, like like as she's wrestling now, you actually see the confidence in her right now. She has been, and it's a positive for her too because she has moments where her matches used to get kind of not clunky, but weren't as smooth as the transitions were rough. And
Yep.
the big thing I took away from that match with Perez and even her WrestleMania match, those are way better now. Like the transitions are good. There's a good flow to her matches, and that's just her gaining confidence. And yeah, keep the strap on her. Heck with it. It's not gonna hurt nothing. And
Yep.
like that
Yeah.
gives time for like the
No.
younger talent to start building up. She's obviously in a program with Perez and Julia. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna butcher
Yeah. It's
names,
pronounced
man.
Julia, I
Like
think.
I said, I used to not be able to say Champa's name very good. I used to call him Chiampa, and I get called out on it all the damn time. So, um,
Well, then I found out Ciampa was really Triple H, and it surprised me. I couldn't believe it.
our truth just dropping truth bombs, man. Like it's crazy. Yeah, it's
The world is a better place because of our truth, by the way.
it most certainly is. And he jumped the gun on Mother's Day big time, but he still loves
Yeah.
him some John
Good
Cena,
for him.
man. Um,
Yeah. And he obviously loves his mama.
yes, he does. So we got, as they like to put it, meaty men slapping meat in the next match. And boy, they tested the ring capacity because we had Otis and Rusev. And that was, I liked a lot about that match just because it was a good introduction to Rusev to get him reacclimated to the WWE fans. But it was also good because it let Otis shine a little bit. I have never seen a dude that's so
Yes.
over and loved by the fans that never goes over. Like it's so disappointing. Like I just want Otis to win, and I think if I was writing for Otis, it would be like we just need Otis to win. And it would be he'd get close and then he'd lose and it'd be like everybody just wants Otis to get one. And, make it maybe have him take a mid card. Like heck with it. Like, everybody thinks like they're a joke, but like I think Maxine as a manager has a lot of potential. And I think
Yes.
I love me some Tozawa, but like if I don't want him to go for tag titles. I want Otis in a singles title match. I want it mid card. I want him to be able to show what he can do because he's very talented. And I think having a mouthpiece like Maxine who could sell it, who mad effing props to her for her out of the ring work this week. And I didn't have this in my notes and it just popped in my head because visually, when Rusev came in and started destroying Tozawa and the look on her face and the way she sold it, and it was so good. She really did a good job putting that over.
Even Natalia came out to. They even showed Natalia coming out to comfort her. Like it was played really well. That was again realism, and realism goes a long way. So real quick on Tozawa, I think what you got to do first, if you want to make Otis more legitimate, you got to split him and Tozawa up. And so I think Otis can go with Maxine and maybe go that mid card run. Tozawa's in a good position because he's what 160 pounder maybe. Well, now you got all these luchadors and the AAA. Just throw him in with that group.
Well, you don't have to break
Find
them
somebody
up.
he could partner with. No, but they could kind of do what what Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser did. They just kind of like, hey, we're going our separate paths now. There's no breakup or anything, but like we're going to each find our own destiny. So I think that could be Otis getting serious about his career, and then Tozawa going over like, hey, I want to do that luchador. I want to do that. Work with the luchadors, and I think that's a good way to get Tozawa some better in-ring action possibilities rather than just being a squash bug sometimes.
You know who's not tiny? Gunther. And you know what? Him and freaking McAfee went face to freaking face this week. And gotta give McAfee his props, man. That dude on the mic. First off, let's rewind. I'm gonna give him a little wrestling props too. His little freaking flying elbow shot when he was defending Cole like a couple of weeks ago was actually really good. I mean, I know it's a one,
Yeah, it was
but
solid.
the two promos, the promo he cut last week and this promo this week, whew, that dude's cooking with Crisco. He put over everybody. He put over the town. He put over Cole. He got the crowd chanting for Cole. He freaking called Gunther soft. And like, I loved that promo because like it was hitting all the right notes. It felt genuine. And now Gunther's going to kill him.
Yeah, yeah, because now he woke up the beast. He's got Gunther's full attention now.
Yeah.
So this is the Gunther. We noticed at the end of his title run, and I know it was partly the storyline, but even his in-ring work, it wasn't that brutal Gunther that when he first came up and took the IC title. That kind of went away. I'm hoping that this is now like, all right, fun time's over. Now I'm just going to beat people up. Like old Gunther's coming back. And Gunther didn't have to say much. Like Pat carried that whole interview, but what Gunther said in return was just as effective. So I thought it was a really whoever wrote that promo, that was really well written and delivered perfectly by Pat. Pat's incredible on the mic.
It was a good segment. It did what it needed to do, and it promoted that match. Does any of us think that like Pat McAfee's going over? Hell no. But
No, but I am more intrigued in this match because you and I have been kind of crapping on it, but now I'm intrigued because I just want to see, and I love Pat McAfee, but I want to see Gunther just chop him to bits and I mean, just decimate Pat. And I'm sure Sean's got his talk. He's going to explain his view on why wonkiness will happen, and I agree that wonkiness needs to happen. But I'm more intrigued just to see the beating that Pat McAfee's going to take from Gunther Saturday
so
night.
before we came on, you actually touched on a real interesting consideration that doesn't get talked about enough. Pat McAfee's got his regular show. So like, we watched him get choked out on Monday Night Raw, and boy was he trying like hell to sell the crap out of it. And I called him the blueberry from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Like, look, You can't fake that. But, all the hacking, spitting that he did all the way back to the locker room and staying with it, credit to him. But he was still on ESPN the next day. I don't see him taking time off. That's his cash cow, obviously. His dream is WWE, but, the moneymaker is what he does on ESPN. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. So, like, the beating, the drumming, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But we'll talk about that a little bit because we got to talk about Backlash. Obviously, it's Backlash week. It's happening this Saturday. We need to get some thoughts out on that as we go through here. So we're going to fast forward. We're going to get to Seth and Jay. I said it before. I'll say it again. I don't care if you said it last week. If Seth's wrestling with a freaking mop handle, a mop bucket, a chair, it doesn't matter. Seth is going to turn that stuff into gold. He made, no offense to him, Omos look incredible, okay, when they wrestled. Seth can make anybody look good, and Jay is good. That match was way better than it deserved to be, and the story that was told in that match made perfect sense. Sami Zayn came out because he's there because he's Sami Zayn, and he's always going to do right. Like, we'll get to that, but Sami Zayn comes out, he interferes. And then CM Punk comes out and he starts beating Seth and he keeps Seth from getting the title. They almost got me in that match, Matt. There was a couple of times I was like, "Oh, we doing this, huh?" When Braun Breaker started interfering and little stuff here and there started happening, I was like, "Oh, we doing this. We're actually going to do this." His first title defense, we're going to do this to Jay. And they got out of it, and I give him credit for that. And I'm going to say this because we're talking about the stories here. I want CM Punk and Sami Zayn broken in half. I want them gone. What I want is I want Seth to come out because, again, favors. Favors got mentioned again. So this is all about the favors, right? We're all burning up favors here, as my old combo chief used to say. Got me out here burning up favors. I want Seth to come out and offer a favor. And then I want like the next couple of people to turn it down. So I want him to make Punk and I want him to make Sammy offers of a favor. And I want to see them say no and get the crap kicked out of them. And then I want Paul to arrange for them to get moved over to SmackDown. Then what I want is.
So you want them to go to Sammy again?
Yes. I want that because here's why. He hasn't learned his lesson yet. So he's just going to be a hard-headed a-hole. So he's going to get put on a stretcher, and then he can stretcher his butt over to the other show so Seth can do Seth things and save wrestling while John Cena on the other program's trying to ruin wrestling. Again, it's a great dynamic. It's interesting, and it's going to collide, I'm sure. But I need that. I need them gone because I need an offer to be made to maybe one more person. And then the fourth person that they make an offer to sees the writing on the wall and takes Seth's offer. That's what I want. I want to see somebody take a Seth offer. Now, the important part is he liked Sami Zayn, so he tried to do Sami a solid. He's not going to do Punk no favors because he hates Punk.
No.
So Punk is going to get beat up just to get beat up. Sammy, on the other hand, I think okay, you want to play ball, you're going to play ball. And, Sammy's going to do what Sammy does, which is, get the crap kicked out of him. I mean, again, props to Sami Zayn. Because you know what? Not too long ago, he was in a freaking WrestleMania match with Johnny Knoxville, for crying out loud. So, like, the fact that he's where he's at right now, and he's like on Stephanie's places rolling around with the bloodline, like, okay, he's done good for himself. So I'm going to give Sammy his props. But yeah, I want to see storyline wise, I want to see an offer be made to one more person. That person turn it down, get the crap kicked out of him. Then I want the fourth person, whoever that may be. And I don't have an answer yet because you have to line it up, right? That favor has to line up with getting somebody an opportunity but they also have to have a tie-in that Seth respects them. Seth respects Braun Breaker. Seth respects Paul Heyman, right? There's respect there. Seth respected Sami Zayn until Sami Zayn didn't, which was Seth's hard choice. Like, all right, I'm going to have to kill you now. And that's why Sami got the crap kicked out of him last week. So, from a storyline wise, there needs to be a fourth person that gets an offer. That fourth person needs to take the offer and run with the ball. And then if they screw it up, then just Seth goes, I got you a shot. You screwed it up, and that's fine.
It'll have to be interesting to see who the fourth man is if they do that. If they went that route, but it is intriguing because there's a lot of talent you can do it with, and there's eventually if it also depends on the growth of the faction over time too, who they end up branching out. I just don't want this group to be too big. Like it can't be more than 4, 5 people.
I think
That always seems to work. Evolution at work, legacy, 3, 4 people, all that. Those smaller factions always worked. You get too big, it just becomes a muddled mess. So
Well, why did the bloodline
look at
work?
the
You had
NWO.
the world champion, you had tag champions, and you had a guy that can make a run at a mid level title. That's why it works. Well, you got a guy that will eventually be world champion in Seth. Braun can hold a mid card title for the interim. You need to bring on a tag team. Bloodline could have got away with it. They could have just brought Jackson to the fold and said, screw it. Like that, boom, instant. Now you got a female. And if she had the title, all the more better. So, but you know what? It was a great week for SmackDown and Raw. I loved them both. But let's get into predictions, Matt. It's
Yeah, I did too.
predictions time. We're going to talk some Backlash.
Oof.
All right, so right now there is 5 matches officially on the card, subject to change. That's why it's in pencil. But hey, so starting off, we got the Fatal 4-Way. We got Jacob Fatu, Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, L.A. Knight. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
who do you got in this match? Who do you think goes over?
I Fatu. I think Fatu retains. This is the building of Fatu. I think somehow in there Solo's going to do something to continue the fracturing of those two. And I think something gets set up where after this fatal 4-way, then you're going to see Solo and Drew have a program. So I think Fatu goes over. I'm not a huge fan of fatal 4-ways and triple threats, but he seems to be doing a much better job of making those entertaining. So if it's anything like it was 2 weeks ago at WrestleMania, yeah, I'll take a good fatal 4-way. So who you got? Who you got in that
I got
battle?
Fatu. I think Fatu goes over, and then they run it back with just him and LA Knight because I agree with you. I think this is where we start seeing Solo kind of screwing everything up. Let's not forget, man, Drew's got some bloodline history, okay? Like, Drew doesn't really, they kind of touched on this through promos. Like, Drew doesn't really have a beef with LA Knight. Priest doesn't have a beef with LA Knight. Like, they're lip service beefing, but they don't have a beef. Drew's got a legitimate beef with the OG Bloodline, Solo specifically, big time Solo, and he's got a beef still going on with Priest. So when you start playing connect the dots, I think you start seeing a program where Solo tries to screw up everything. Fatu ends up over. Drew gets pissed because it's like, this is the second time you screwed me. So I think Jacob's pissed because he screwed up the match, and I think Drew is pissed because he's the one that gets screwed over. So I think that leads to a Drew Solo fight. It kind of milks the cow a little bit longer for Solo and Fatu, and then an eventual riff.
All right. Similarly agreed. A little different. You have him running with L.A. Knight, but I had him running a program with Drew
Yeah,
for a
I
little
don't
bit.
think
Just
I want to see that program with Drew. I just think that there's more meat on the bone with Solo because there's closure that I don't think Drew ever really got with Solo. So, and I'm pretty sure it was Solo that screwed Drew at Clash at the Castle. So there's still some hurt feelings. So, as we talked about with promos earlier, there's a lot of hurt feelings between Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. I'll tell you right now, I'm just going Becky. I think they're going to strap Becky. I think they're going to let Becky run with the title. They'll let Lyra chase her title back. Maybe you do it in a way that Lyra slips on a banana peel and loses. I think that putting the title on Becky and then eventually having Becky Bailey will elevate that title and not make it feel meh.
This one I could go either way. If Becky wins, it's kind of predictable that she wins, and I think it might be too soon. The thing about Lyra winning is I would like her because she's improved so much. One, to give her a little bit more space with that title before she loses it, and two, we talked about how great bitter Becky is. Like Lyra wins, but like maybe Becky has her foot on the rope and the ref misses it. So now she's got another thing to be bitter at. She's getting screwed by the WWE and the referees and all this stuff. So, for me, it's a toss-up. Either way, I'm not going to be upset. But I guess at the end of the business day, it's probably gonna be Becky. But I would just like to see Lyra too because of Becky could just be more bitter, especially if you can kind of goof up the ending, which leads to rematches anyway. So hey, I had foot on the rope, they can acknowledge it in a rematch, and Becky takes the title like the next time around or something like that.
So, you want me to make you feel better about your pick? Of the two ladies, which one of the
Sure.
two ladies do you think is the next one out of just those two that would have a world title shot? Out of those two, the very next title shot, not, eventually in the future, between Lyra and Becky, who will have the first title shot at the world championship?
Oh, it'll probably be Becky because that's just how it's always been. You bring Becky back, she's going to be in the world title picture, unless she does beat Lyra, so she can elevate that women's IC title, and then that could free up Lyra to take a stab at the world title picture with the.
Matt, you're our historian, buddy. I'm counting on you on this one. What in the history of WWE has been the role of the Intercontinental Championship?
The IC title has been the feeder title to be the number one contender for the world title or to be the next world champion.
Ding, ding. And that's what I'm getting at. So, back in the day, again, Attitude Era guy, back in the day, Rock, Stone Cold, they all had that IC title. And then after they dumped it, they went on to bigger things. I think that they might be using that formula to make that IC title count. That's why I said it'll make you feel better about it because if you look at those two and you say Becky's probably the next one to get a title shot at the world title, let Becky run with the IC for a little while. Lyra will eventually get it back or whomever. Maybe it's Perez. I don't know. But my point is that you let her run with it for a little bit, and then it makes her going into the main title picture way better. You don't seem convinced.
Either way, I think it's going to be. No, not yet. I'll think about it. I got to think about
I,
it.
I
But
think there's
I
I think
just.
there's some long term establishment of the IC title by doing it that way. So if the IC title starts becoming that feeder where I have the IC title, now I'm into the world the heavyweight title picture. I think that elevates the IC. It makes it more significant. It's not just a mid card title. No, it's a stepping stone, and that's what the IC should be. It is what it is for the men. Maybe not so much in the modern day, but that's what it should be.
Well, then while Lyra goes off chasing after EO, you can have Becky and Bailey brawl over the IC title, which is a top feud anyway, which will elevate the title. So there's a lot of ways you can work all this. I mean, Becky and Bailey got a feud here. They're gonna be back. So if they're doing it for the, if it's over the IC title, that definitely elevates that title
I agree.
by having those two fight over. So
I think so. Speaking of IC titles, Dominic Mysterio
Nice.
and Penta. Who you got in this one?
I think Dirty Dom takes it. I think Dirty Dom's gonna. Yeah, he's gonna retain through nefarious means. So it won't hurt Penta. Penta's not going to be pinned clean, I don't think. There'll be some interference or something. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Dom.
I got Dom. Dom's going over. I think he's too big to fail right now. You're going to keep that strap on him. The burn off for that is Finn Balor getting kicked out of the Judgment Day and then him and Dom going head to head. So that's the payoff. That's where it ends. So right now, no. And Penta doesn't need the title. Penta's over. Like, he
No,
is
he doesn't.
super over. And I love watching him wrestle, so I don't need him to have a title to be great. He's already great. So
And then
I think that's a
I
pretty
think
simple one.
what the good thing about that, you keep the title off of Penta, and then hopefully my dreams come true, and they get the draft comes, and him and his brother on the same brand, and they form a tag team, and we can all just be happy.
I'll watch that. Ooh, them and Faxium. That match will
My
cook.
good.
All right, so
Them and DIY, them and anybody from that SmackDown roster would be a ball to
this
watch.
is why they need to redistribute the tag team division. It is too loaded on
Yes.
SmackDown. SmackDown is by far a phenomenal tag division, but they need to spread the wealth.
Like I said earlier, tag team wrestling done the right way is I love watching tag team wrestling. So
Not to deviate too much, but you know my take on this. I love dedicated tag teams too. So like your Pretty Deadlies, Street Profits, that means a lot to me, man. Like I like those guys that they're a tag team. Like that's what they are. You know, War Raiders, same deal. Tag team. New Day, that's their identity. They're a tag team. I love all of that. It's not easy to do what Jay and
yes,
Jimmy did, especially Jay breaking out, unless you're Shawn Michaels, and then, breaking out of a tag team and really making a name for yourself as a singles competitor. It's not that easy unless you're in one of those
Bret.
groups that just got
Uh,
slapped together. So,
no, Bret Hart did it too. Left the Hart Foundation, but yeah,
I think
but that's a
yeah.
select few.
Speaking of it, so, here's the easiest one of the night to call. Pat McAfee and Gunther. Who you got, Matt?
I got the ring general, Gunther.
Gunther.
It's no. I don't know. Gunther. So logic says that Gunther will beat the piss out of Pat McAfee and stop him and pin him, but there's gonna be shenanigans
There is.
and wonkiness. So
There is.
Gun, Gunther might eat a pin, or it might go to a deep. But either way, I just think Pat McAfee is just going to get an epic beating, chop fest. And so to counter that, I think it'd be hilarious, and it'd be right in Pat's the way he thinks and the way he loves wrestling and life itself. Hey, like Gunther puts an arm bar on him and like breaks his arm. Pat McAfee can still go to work at ESPN. He just lives the gimmick, and he wears a cast on his arm while he's doing his show. It'd be hilarious, and I think Pat could pull it off.
But I have this.
And
This going totally different. I have it. I've already drawn the match out. I'm going to tell you everything that's going to happen. You heard it here first, folks. You don't even need to watch the damn match. Here's what's going to happen. Couple of things. One, Gunther is going to beat the crap out of Pat McAfee for a while. At some point, Michael Cole is going to distract the referee. Somehow, someway, Michael Cole is going to distract the referee. Pat McAfee, who used to was an NFL punter, is going to punt Gunther in the junk. However, he is not going to win. It's just going to piss Gunther off. Gunther is going to put McAfee in his submission hold, and he is going to hold him there. McAfee will not tap out. McAfee will pass out, and Gunther still won't release it, and Michael Cole will chair shot Gunther to get him off of Pat McAfee. There you go. Wrote it for you. It's done. Book it.
And if it really happens, folks, you heard it here first. So we haven't been right on everything, but we've been right on a few things.
I think that's how it goes. The punt's a little far fetched, but
That'd
I
be
can
it.
see it
That,
happening.
yeah, I can. Yeah, but I want to say Gunther wins, but in these type of matches, historically, like WWE always has like the other guy win. But Pat also lost. He lost a WrestleMania match, so yeah, it's possible
it was
he'll
horseshit.
lose
It
again.
wasn't sanctioned. It was to Vince. It doesn't count. He's actually technically undefeated at
Oh, we said it.
WrestleMania unless you count the bullshit match that was made, and it doesn't count. In my record book, it doesn't count. It might count in yours, folks. It doesn't count in mine because it was horseshit. So, but yeah, I think.
Well, 75-year-old Vince in the ring was horseshit too.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing.
So, I think the punt might be a little far fetched. I am telling you, Gunther is going to have Pat McAfee in a submission hold and is not going to release it. He already mentioned it in his promo. And it's going to take a chair shot from Michael Cole, who, ironically enough, McAfee stood up for and is hyped up. So Michael Cole is going to chair shot Gunther, and somehow we're going to get a rivalry between announcers and Gunther. I don't know. I don't need that, but I do think we're getting a chair shot from Michael Cole.
Michael needs to avenge the attack on him. So
Yes, correct.
he wants to do his part to help Pat because Pat went to bat for him, so he's going to go to bat
Gunther
to
made a
help his
comment
buddy.
that even God himself won't be able to get him to unleash this hold. So it's going to take a chair and Michael Cole, who is, the greatest announcer of all time. Neither here nor there.
Yes.
All right, buddy. The biggin. Randy Orton, John Cena, the face who used to be a heel and the heel who used to was a face match. Who you got?
The heart's with Randy, but the brain is with Cena. Cena's not dropping Saturday night. And really quick about Randy, I don't think I mentioned this in the podcast. We talked about it before. Randy's been a face before, but it always felt like it was forced. It wasn't authentic. It was just Randy Orton, like, yeah, I'm playing a baby face. This last face run he's done, especially the last few months, this has been as authentic a babyface run I think I've ever seen from Randy Orton. It's very authentic. He does the stuff with the kids, but like he likes it. It seemed before, like when he played the babyface, he wasn't comfortable. He's found his comfort zone in being the babyface, and it really shows. And the fans love it. So, but it's going to be a close but no cigar for Randy Orton. There's going to be some type of shenanigans where Cena keeps his title. Gotta hope that shenanigans doesn't involve Travis Scott, because then I'll have to buy a new TV, because then I will. Even Logan Paul says he doesn't want to hear that effing song ever again.
Sick of that song, and it's been a month. I hate it.
Sick of his. Man. But anyway, I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think it'll be another classic Orton Cena battle, but there'll be some type of shenanigans. Or just something as simple as they're wrestling and Cena just cheats to win, pulls the trunks, grabs a rope or something. But
we have not.
It'll be entertaining.
Not seen Cody Rhodes since his loss at WrestleMania. We will not see John Cena for a time because him and Cody are starting their Fortress of Doom, and they will become heels for when John Cena becomes a face, and they're going to come back and they're going to destroy John Cena. So therefore, Cena wins. Cena holds the title until SummerSlam, which is when I've predicted he becomes a face, and I'm ride or die on this. Cena will win, and Cena will retain the title, and then Randy is going to skulk away and become a heel again, because he wasn't really a full-fledged legend killer, because you can't be a legend killer when you're a face. So, yes, Cena is going to win. I'm riding this train until it falls off the tracks, man. Like, if I don't see Cena for a couple of weeks, or, Orton for a couple of weeks, I'll be happy. Like, I haven't seen Cody Rhodes. I haven't. Now I don't need to see Cena. Like, make them vanish for a little while, and they're going to come back, and they're all going to be wearing black, and they're going to kill John Cena, and it's going to be great. Perfect ending.
Well,
Done.
either way, the podcast right after SummerSlam should be quite interesting, regardless. If Cena wins, loses, face heel, I don't know, finally becomes a father by then, I don't know. But
It's gonna be it's gonna be me yelling at you on the phone. I woke up the whole damn neighborhood dropping the I haven't called it. I told you what was gonna happen. I told you months ago. It's gonna happen again. I'm gonna be like, I told you. Cody's a Cody's a heel. Hey, look, let's be real.
uh,
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna add to it now. We're gonna put some. We're gonna remember how we were talking about ice cream. I'm putting some sprinkles and hot fudge on it right now, man. Think about this for a second. How many times have you and I talked about Cody has heel tendencies? Cody has heel tendencies.
yep.
Some of the things that Cody Rhodes does is heelish. Yes, he wears a suit. Yes, he's the face of WWE. Randy, it's easy. We know. we we've been waiting for a while now. We're like, is he gonna go heel? When's he gonna turn into the Viper again? Because at some point he's gonna coil and snap. Like it's just what Randy does. To your point, he's enjoying being a face, and I appreciate that. The fans enjoy Randy as a face. That's why we need to take it away from him and ruin wrestling. So therefore, Randy Orton must go away for a little bit and come back as a heel with his partner in crime, Cody Rhodes, and they can both be heels together when John Cena becomes a face, and then they can ruin John Cena's life all the way up until his final match in December. Done. You took his last two
Book it.
opponents, have one's got heelish tendencies, one is more naturally a heel. So it works. The formula still works, Matt. I'm just saying.
It's just how they're going to do it is going to be the fun part to watch, and that's why we always like speculating on what could happen or why are they doing this, or we should be doing this.
The why
So
for Cena is
it's
so easy though. It's Cena versus the fans, so you just take everybody away.
yeah,
You know, they took away
yep.
Cody. You haven't seen
But
Cody.
yep, nope. Do you think you see him possibly at Backlash, or do they hold him until Saturday night's main event in Memorial Day
Main
weekend?
event.
That's
Main
what I.
event is when he reappears as a heel. I'm not. I told you until it happens, I'm not letting it go. So until I see evidence otherwise, John Cena turns. He's got the heelish touch, man. John Cena's a heel. He just comes up, gives them the too
All right.
sweet ding, and they're a heel. Hey, Hogan went heel, man. Hogan, the face of faces, went
Yeah.
heel for a while. It's not. It can be done. It can be done right. And like
Yeah.
I said, you know, it's so easy to do because you know, have them come back, but don't have them go directly for Cena. You just have them come back and start beating the crap out of other people that have wronged them. That might already be faces, and just be like, meh, see, I turned your
So let's talk about turning people heel that big baby faces. So they played Seth Rollins music Monday night, and what did the crowd do?
They sing it.
They sang
And
his song. So here's the thing. I honestly, and tell me if you think otherwise, I think it'd be easier to turn Cena heel than Seth because I don't think. I mean, Heyman's getting the booze for the team, but I still think Seth's going to get enough love from the crowd. I think I think it might be easier if they ever did turn Cody heel. I think it would work more effective than Seth. I think Seth, like he's a great heel, but he's not getting the heel reaction from the fans like I'm sure that they
so
want.
this goes back to Seth being a unique character, right? A lot of people over time, I've heard it on Busted Open, I've heard it in a lot of places, they don't get the character. They hate the character. The problem is two things. One, the crowd turned Seth face. He was never really, truly, honestly a face. Seth doesn't do a lot of face things. other than defending everybody because he thinks that's what he has to do. But here's the problem. Seth's song, because of the type of character, if he's the architect and he just does the pose and they sing his song, how's it any different than Roman doing the one? It doesn't matter. You still get that reaction. You can still sing Seth's song and him be a heel. And you don't even realize it. If he's the Messiah or if he's the architect, it doesn't matter. You can get away with Seth's song and having the crowd sing his song because it goes from we're singing your song to cheer for you to we're singing your song because we're part of your cult. You see the difference? Or we're singing your song
Yeah.
to worship you because he's the Messiah or whatever. You see what I'm saying? It still works. That's the beauty of Seth's character. It's a damn chameleon. And like people don't get it, but it's there. It's always been there. I told you this eons ago. You're like, oh, I don't know. How do they turn Seth? Like before he actually turned, I'm like, it doesn't matter. He doesn't even have to change character. The only thing he changed character wise is he's not doing the damn laugh anymore. That's the one thing he's taken out of his
Yeah.
repertoire. He doesn't do his
I've
goofy
noticed
ass
that.
laugh. He's very somber, very serious, very down to business. The Paul Heyman effect. That change in Seth is huge because a lot of people didn't like the laugh. Because what would happen? He'd come out like Elton John in his goofy ass outfits every time, which I'm not going to lie, it's must see TV, right? Like, it's WrestleMania. What the hell is Seth Rollins going to wear this time? He one ups it with his outfit. I got to give it to him. So, like,
He does.
but he got away. He's taken the laugh out of it. When he cuts promos now, everything's very serious and businesslike, which is awesome. Which is what makes the character believable. It means I am here. I'm going to do the dirty work, and I am going to save wrestling. But the problem is that he has to be serious about it. He can't joke about it. He can't, So him not laughing, he hasn't laughed since he joined Paul Heyman.
No.
So I think that his character, regardless of crowd reaction, works because it's either they're cheering for you or you're worshiping me. You know what I mean? It's no different than Roman dropping the
Yep.
acknowledgement.
That's a good point.
It's no different. But the
Yeah.
fans don't get it. The fans won't get it because they just like doing it. So they're just going to do it, and he's just going to ride the train. He's gotten to the point now where he doesn't even conduct him. He just puts the mic up. Whoop. Do what I tell you to do. And now they're doing it in his matches. Like he starts turning it around in a match. Everybody's singing his song. Okay. Our savior, Seth Rollins, whatever. It's fine. It's not a bad thing. But the beauty of his character is it has longevity, and you don't even have to change it. You just tweak it. So,
Yep. That's true because you're not deviating from what the whole character is anyway.
correct.
So, oh, good points on that.
Yep. Anything else you want to talk about? What else you got in the back of your nugget?
No, just I think that's all I got for this week. But other than to say that, hey, Mother's Day's this weekend, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers this coming
Happy
Sunday.
Mother's Day.
Our Truth's mom evidently got her present already. Mama Truth is good to go. So no, again, hey, some of our videos have been picking up some more views, and we really appreciate that you're watching it, liking, and some people are dropping comments. So please like and subscribe. Hit the little bell for notifications. We will be dropping shorts on YouTube. This podcast will be going up as well. And then also Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. All right, with that, give it back to you, Sean.
Like Matt said, like, subscribe, interact with us. Tell us we're doing a great job. Tell us we're doing a horrible job. It's all good. We're big boys. We can take it. We're crusty and old anyways. We'll forget tomorrow. So, by all means, like, subscribe, reach out to us. And I hope everyone has a great Backlash weekend. And we'll talk about it on Saturday. Have a good one.
Saturday, that's right. All right. See you
Later.
Saturday.